This is a CBC podcast.
Well, it's been a while since we last spoke with Pam Novak at the Atlantic Wildlife Institute. The fall migration is underway, so there will soon be a number of birds in need of care after running into some trouble on their travels. But there's one bird Pam just released that caught my attention, a young American bittern that was at the Institute all summer, and Pam is on the line to talk about this medium-sized heron. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Vanessa.
First of all, I need you to describe this bittern when it came to you, because the photo that you have on Facebook is just fantastic.
How do you describe a baby bittern? Without laughing. Oh, my gosh. Not that you want to see certain animals come in, but, there's certain ones that when you do have to take them in for care really do put a smile on you.
Yeah, it looks a bit like Beaker from the Muppets or something. I don't know.
Now you know how, Muppet shows and cartoons get their characters from, because they just need to look at baby animal photos. Because bitterns, American bitterns, are just one of the most ridiculously cute little critters that will come in that will just brighten your day, and they have no idea that they're doing that. But, yeah, these guys come in, and each of them always get called Albert Einstein because of the real funky hairdo.
Yeah.
They sport quite the fluff of downy feathers, and they keep them for quite a while, which I think is even more amusing because they have them even up till release. You can still see some of the strands of some of that early down that's on the top of their head, and it just makes them precious.
It's fantastic looking at them with their, long necks, their thin faces, the googly eyes, the spray of hair on top. They're wonderful looking, but, there obviously is a sad story about why this bird came to you.
You have to try to keep your focus on the fact that it is a sad story of when they come in, but, they give so much back in return when they're with us. But, yeah, this was a case where when we do get the bitterns in, it's usually because of the fact that there might have been storms go by or there's a lot of flooding, and they get flushed out and away from maybe where the parent bird could have been. And in this case, there was actually two bitterns. One did not survive the process, unfortunately, but were found where they seemed to be abandoned. There was no adult bittern by them, and they were quite young, full of just fluff balls, and being harassed by domestic animals like a dog and a cat. So it was deemed definitely for their own safety to bring them in, but unfortunately one, as I said, when we got them in, one did not survive when it was brought in because it was just too far gone. But the one that we had posted on Facebook even, we got back, probably late June is when that one came in, and it took a little bit while to get him back up and on schedule of growth because of the fact that he had been through quite an ordeal. What it specifically was, we don't really know, but it was a combination probably of really poor weather conditions and being harassed by some domestic animals. So it took a little while to get the guy back up to speed, to get him to the point of where we were comfortable for release, which we just did. So we had this little bittern for a little over 2 months.
My goodness.
In our care.
And you had to play mom, of course, and feed a baby bittern. What does one feed a baby bittern anyway?
A lot of fish.
Oh.
These are fish eaters. They live in the marshes. So their natural diet will be a lot of small fish, even frogs, crustaceans, small snakes. Anything like that they can get their beak on. So in captivity, they need to be on that similar diet. So when they're either quite emaciated or, just poor body condition, they can either have to be tube-fed, like a piscivorous type of diet, or then they start getting fed whole fish, and to the point to where they can start self-feeding. So you have to put them through the process of them being able to start, fishing on their own.
What is the process of teaching them to fish, when they are in a situation where you have them in captivity? So how do they figure this stuff out?
Yeah, that's what you have to try to help them do, actually, is to figure it out. And it's like any kind of other birds or so that when they come in, to try to have them identify their own food sources is quite important, and to be able to witness them picking up their own food and trying to hunt and scavenge for their own food is always really important. And with bitterns, it's not too difficult of a process, where we just really need to set up kind of more of like a natural habitat for them, where there are some marsh grasses in there. We have a little pond or pools of water with live fish in there, and that will start stimulating their instinct to want to grab and to hunt on their own. And when they start doing that, then it's a very hands-off process, and you're really waiting for them to get to the point where they're fully feathered, they are flight capable, and eating completely on their own so that they're self-sufficient, and then that's the time when you can judge to make the call that they're ready for release.
This is quite the operation, really, because you're kind of running a school for a bunch of different baby animals and teaching them all what they'll need to know when you let them all go.
It really is. To do your job as a wildlife rehab center. Your main purpose is to get animals back out that are wild and healthy animals, and you're giving them that second chance to function as that wild animal would. And so, you do the best you can with what you have, but with bitterns at least, you can give them that environment. They're not the most difficult ones to have to deal with once we get them to that point, but it's just a very long process.
I know they're a particular favorite of yours. What is it about the bittern that you love so much?
I don't know. Yeah, bitterns really, they have a soft spot to me because I don't think they realize just how wonderfully awkwardly cute they are. They're much more loners in the heron, these medium-sized heron birds where people see the graceful kind of great blue herons flying overhead or feeding in a frenzy along the shoreline at dusk, where you get those beautiful photos. You got these cranky little old men. They're like what American bitterns really are, where they just don't want to be bothered by anything else. They want their little marshes all to themselves. And they just like little stealth little hunters, where they're very specifically designed for their environment. And that's what I think makes them so appealing to me. It's because you see them when they're out of their environment, and they look like these really awkward creatures. But when you put them in their natural setting, you just realize how much in tune and how much they perfectly fit to where they're supposed to be. So like from the shape of their body, right up to the coloring of their feathers and even like the dark streaks along the side of their neck, that really helps give that camouflage color when they're in like a mat of cattails. And then they'll point their bill straight up in the air when they want to go into total camouflage mode of like, you don't see me, and you could be literally standing right in front of a bittern in a whole area of cattails and not even know they're there, because they'll start swaying with the cattails. But what's really cool about them is even though they're pointed straight up to the sky in terms of their bill, trying to camouflage, they're looking directly at you just because of the special adaptations that they have for survival. And one of those is when their bills are straight up in the air, their eyes are looking straight at you. They have the ability to look almost 360 degrees. So
whoa.
It's these freaky little things that are about them that really makes them quite special. So even when they're hunting and they're in their stealth mode and you can see that silhouette of that bill even looking forward, thinking that, they have their defense mechanism, that little spear in front of them for the defense posture, they're actually looking then down and hunting for food. So they're kind of like the masters of camouflage and all. And it really gives them these qualities is what really makes them such a special bird to have in our wetlands.
Wow. I mean, they just sound incredible. I know the goal for you is always to get them to a point where you can release them. And you just released this one not long ago. Is it ever, kind of a moment, though, for you? Do you ever get attached and kind of go, oh,
Well, you do, yeah. I mean, you do get attached like every single time, and it's kind of like sending off that first child to college type of mode every time when you're releasing them, going, okay, watch where you're stepping, don't maybe go there. Please let it be good weather, and, you have some time out there to acclimate and stuff. And so you worry about what you're putting them back into. But then you have to, let it, let the feeling take over of doing the right thing, knowing that you're giving this animal a second chance and hopefully giving them the tools that they need to be able then to be on their own.
Hopefully this one is able to thrive out there. And,
I hope so. He was put into a spot where there's lots of good fishing, a nice protected area. I had seen other bitterns in that spot, so I'm pretty comfortable with the fact that we gave him the best situation and the best chance for survival. So it's all we can hope for. And then, as now we move on to the next animals that come in our care. So
fingers crossed, Pam. I suspect we'll be talking about those next animals before too long.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Take care of yourself, Pam. We'll talk soon.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.